All right, welcome back to another video. Today we are doing a deck profile on the boy himself right here, Gaomon. We're going to do Miragegaogamon. So first off, we are going to start with our eggs. So I do 3 copies of Wanyamon and 1 copy of Bukamon. Oh, there's a little bit of glare there. Bukamon with the jamming, super helpful. I've honestly thought about dropping this. You'll probably see why in a couple of seconds. This Mirage build is very aggressive. I've changed it for BT16, but last set, BT15, our last format, it was a little bit different. I added some of the new cards, but these are super important. So I've also thought about doing 4 Wanya, 1 Buka, just because the draw power is really necessary, so you can get all of your pieces. But we'll move on to the level 3s. Level 3s, the first one you are going to play, 4 copies of the EX4 Gaomon. On play, both players draw, and the inheritable is when an effect adds a card to your opponent's hand, gain 1 memory. This is one of the most important cards of the deck, not only because this inheritable memory gain, but because of the on play. The amount of times I've been sitting at 2 or 3 memory and I have a Mirage on the field and I just hard play this for 3, we both draw, and then I gain a bunch of memory back is insane. So this Gaomon, super important. The next rookie we are going to be running is 2 copies of Gomamon right here. This Gomamon opponent's turn effect. When this Digimon would be deleted, you may play 1 Gomamon from the Digivolution cards without paying the cost. Super beneficial. Just being able to, if you die in battle, if you don't have jamming, or if you die in DP deletion, any effect like that, DP reduction, playing a Gomamon out, getting something else on the field, really beneficial, especially with the start of main phase. You can strip any source and you can't be blocked for the turn. And especially in the new format with Magnamon X being a thing, super beneficial where you cannot be blocked. So you can utilize this. You could probably add in a 3rd one. I honestly don't think I would. I would probably drop, if you do add in a 3rd one, I would drop this next guy, Betamon. Put him down to 2. I originally, last format, had him at 4. Now with the new jamming Gaogamon, I went down to 3. I'm also debating taking 1 out and putting in a Madoki Betamon for the memory choke, but you could swap this in for a Gomamon. But his on play essentially does nothing. You never play anything by effect. You just have the jamming, and jamming is super important for this deck because you unsuspend an attack so many times. The last rookie, I play 1 copy of the BT11 Gaomon, just in case you need the search and being able to bounce a level 3. If you have a Tamer in play when attacking, that will activate your Mirage. So that's pretty beneficial. Last format, I didn't even run this. I just ran 4 copies of Betamon, and I had the BT11 Gaogamon in play, which you'll see is no longer in there. But that's it. We only play, I believe, 10 rookies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rookies in the deck. Level 4s. The first one, Gaogamon from EX4. This is one of the best cards. I was hit or miss between making this a 4 of and the other Gaogamon a 4 of, because I run 9 level 4s. This is the 4 of. Being able to bounce to level 3, even though the other one gets another card in your opponent's hand, you can potentially gain that memory. This inheritable is so important. I cannot stress it enough. It's the same thing as the EX4 Gaomon. You gain a memory when you add a card to your opponent's hand, and it just naturally bounces at level 3. But these inheritables are what wins you games. If you're able to bounce something and keep turn, if your opponent doesn't have a lot of cards, this is what's going to help you. So super useful card. The next level 4 you're going to play, I play 3 copies of Gaogamon from the new set BT16. When digivolving, both players draw 1 card off the top of their deck. Then if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, you gain a memory. This is 2 draws off of a digivolve. It's really nice. It's making the deck more consistent. You get extra draws and inheritable jamming. So the reason why I dropped down in some of my Betamons is because this guy came out. I originally used to run 3 of the BT13 Gaogamons, and then 1 Zudomon from BT14, I believe it is, BT15, Russian jamming. Super useful because you could hard play the EX4 Gaomon, digivolve into a rush. Really nice, and an extra jamming. Now we've got the jamming here. This 3 copies of this I think is enough. I think if you see this anymore, there's some times where it's like, oh, I need to clear the field if they have like a memory choker, and you can't. So I run 3 of this, super useful. And then I run 2 of the BT13 Gaogamons. When digivolving, you play out of Thomas if you don't have one, and all turns if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, you get +1 KDP. This is nice. I have run into a lot of cases where I just much rather play a Thomas. So 2 copies of this, super nice. It's nice to get out the 4-cost memory setter Thomas for free. So I like that, or for the 2 cost. Level 5s. So this is a new card that I've added into the deck. This is the BT16 Miragegaogamon. For those of you who don't know, it's when attacking, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, this Digimon's attack target can't be switched. This is very, very good now. The reason why is because you've got so much jamming, you can do an early attack with this, and then when you Digivolve in a Mirage, this inheritable, when an effect adds a card to your opponent's hand, you unsuspend. And that's just super beneficial, especially with Tyrant Kabuterimon coming into the playing field and Magnemon X. Not being able to have your attack target redirected or swapped, so those Izzies and the Metal Life Kawagamon inheritable, they can't redirect your attack targets because you can't be switched. So the Gomamon, you can't be blocked, you can still get redirected. This, you can't get redirected. So these are really nice. I run 2 of because I do like to run an aggressive build. Last format, I didn't have any of this. Next card, you're going to run 2 copies of Miragegaogamon. I originally ran 3 of this because I played a very aggressive build, like I said. And I had 3 of this, 1 of the BT11 Miragegaogamons. I don't even have that anymore. But jamming, you have jamming just normally. So if you don't have jamming on your stack, you got it here. But the biggest thing is while you have 8 or more cards in your hand, this Digimon gets security attack +1. If you have jamming from any of the inheritables, you can run through security immensely. Like, just plowing through security, even against security control. If you have jamming, if you get a DP reduction, you're still hitting the second check because you don't care, okay? This is really, really beneficial to have in here. I honestly might up it to 3 again, and I may drop the next card, but I'm keeping this in for right now as a 2-up. These are really, really good to play aggressive. The last one, or not the last one, but EX4 Miragegaogamon. When Digivolving, you bounce a level 4 to your opponent's hand. Really beneficial. When you get it, it can come in handy, but honestly, sometimes I'd much rather just have the Arrow V to swing in super hard. The when attacking opponent, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, unsuspend this Digimon is really nice. But again, with so many Thomas effects unsuspending, this Arrow V is just a lot more important. So you can swap between the 2. The last level 5. Zudomon Ace. This card is crazy good. This card is insane. Being able to strip 2 sources of any Digimon, any 2 sources, and then bounce one with no Digievolution cards. The amount of times that if I have a bricked hand and I've got no other cost and I just hard play Zudomon Ace first turn and then next turn go into Mirage is crazy. I've been doing things where it's like, oh, I've got a Mirage on the field. Oh, I'll just play this, bounce something, steal turn back, and then go into another Mirage to bounce security. I've done it a bunch. It's great. This card is crazy good, especially when you can just ace over any of your level 4s. This card is a 3 of, sometimes you might want to run 4. I like 3. That's my soft spot. That's the safe space. All right. On to level 6s. The first one you are going to run is you are going to run 4 copies of your BT11 Miragegaogamon. This is the boss of the deck. This is how you get your deck to function and win most of the time. When Digivolving, you bounce a level 5 or lower to the hand. If nothing is bounced, if no Digimon is returned by the effect, your opponent adds the top card of security to hand. So if they've got a Metal Greymon, and they've got protection, and they strip their sources for protection to not get bounced, you add the top card of security to hand. Then you gain 1 memory for every 4 cards in your hand. Remember, this is an all turns effect, which is super good, especially if your opponent runs Ukomons, those searchers. You can choke them super easily. But 4 copies of this, no less, no more. The last one, I run 1 copy of BT13 Miragegaogamon. It bounces a Tamer when you add an effect to your opponent's hand. You can play a Thomas for free. It's not that great, but it is something to burst off of. We had a couple of games where I played in regionals where I had this in my hand, but I didn't Digivolve into it because I'm like, I really need the other, and I didn't find the other one. And then later on, I was like, well, what if I just went into it? And then I'd go into it either in the breeding area or on the field. And then just being able to get into one of your win conditions, which is the level 7 burst mode, is super beneficial. So even having 1 copy of those, sometimes you need a bounce a Tamer, you know? But level 7's 3 copies of Miragegaogamon burst mode. This amazing card, you should not be running any other level 7s than this. You bounce any Digimon, and then you gain 1 memory for every 4 cards. So even if you didn't bounce something, you still gain the memory, and when attacking, you can unsuspend if your opponent is 9 or 8 9 or more cards in their hand, you bottom deck until 8 remain to unsuspend. This card is really, really good, especially when things like Thomas's, where you can digivolve one attacking bottom deck cards, then suspend a Thomas to make them draw again. So when you attack next turn, you've got it. So 3 copies of this. I think 4 is too much, and I think 2 is too little. Now we'll move on to Tamers. This is pretty simple. We do 3 copies of the Memory Setter Thomas. When one of your Digimon with Gao or Gaogamon in its name attacks, you suspend this Tamer to make both of you draw. Super good with burst mode, but 3 copies of it. I used to run 2. I think 3 is beneficial, and then 3 copies of the BT4 Thomas on play. You draw 1, and then if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, you can suspend Thomas to unsuspend. I used to run this at a 4 of, just to keep unsuspending with this, but I think the 3-3 split is the best, if I'm being honest. I think I undermined how good this would be in just adding cards into your opponent's hand early game. So 3 and 3 is really good. Now on to option cards. So my option cards are a little bit different. I use 4 copies of Mental Training. If you don't know what this does, you reveal the top 2. You take any blue card, and then the delay effect, you can digivolve for reduced cost into a blue Digimon. 4 of these, this is super normal to play. You shouldn't be running less than these because you need searchers. Your regular BT11 Gaomon searcher trashes stuff. You don't want that. Then 2 blue memory boosts, reveal top 4, take 1 blue Digimon card, and then delay, you gain 2 memory. Super useful. Good amount of searching. That's what you want. Good amount of setup as well. The last thing we play is I see a lot of people playing 2 copies of Full Moon Meteor Impact. I go for 3. This card is insane, especially with the Tyrant matchup. They can't be affected by your effects when they're suspended. You play this, you bounce their stack, you gain memory. It's really, really beneficial, especially with Magmon X coming. If it doesn't have protection and you hit this in security, you bounce their stack before they gain immunity. So 3 copies of this. I've been running this at 3 copies since BT15 format started. These are really, really good in my opinion. But that is it for my video. If you guys want to, I could make a gameplay video on how to do it, record some matches. I do have some matches of me playing this deck, not at its current set, but last format, I have a bunch of videos of it. There's just a lot of back chatter. So if you don't want that, then I'm gonna have to film some other stuff. But if you guys do want to see something like that, let me know. Fill it out in the comments section below. All right.